What up, everyone? Shark here. Got another 1v1 for you today. This time we're on Semois. As the allies, we have Mishi from the States playing the British faction. He's ranked number 87, about 1500 elo. His opponent is Akkerman playing Wehrmacht. He's a little bit under 1500 elo, ranked number 124. This is an awesome game on a map that is really difficult to manage and requires a different play style. Casting this one with me is my boy Ares. I would not say this falls into the level up series. Both these guys are better players than I am, but Ares is a challenger level guy. So lots of good thoughts and analysis there. Looking forward to it. And with that, we will get right on to the match.
Perfect, we're synced.
Nice. So starting here on the west side of the map, bottom of the screen in blue is Mishi playing Brits, getting a second sapper, building a section command post. Opposite him in red, playing Wehrmacht is Akkerman. So he's going infantry company and immediately into a Kettenkrad. Ares, I was telling you before we started, I have Semois vetoed in my 1v1 pool. How do you feel about this map?
I hate it. I mean, it's a cool map, right? I like it, but I don't like it from a gameplay perspective, if that makes sense.
I will second that completely.
Like, it's a pretty map, and in CoH3, I remember there was a point where it could work in 1v1s and 2s, and it worked a lot better in 2s because you have this huge stretch on both sides of the field, and it leads to a lot of back and forth gameplay.
Yeah, I think the version of this that really worked in CoH2 was the winter version, right?
Yes.
Because having the ponds frozen gave you some flexibility, but also allowed for that super fun, like, break the ice gameplay. Which I know it's not the best thing for esports, but it was fun. It did create kind of the cinematic moments that I know Relic is going for with this game. And I agree, like, the maps that we have now, when they finally get published, they are beautiful. But that doesn't always translate into the gameplay and the readability. Like, you see this with Counter-Strike as well, because they wanted to have maps that didn't just have, like, the white dust walls. And so then they had to increase the player contrast so people couldn't, like, camouflage themselves. It's the same thing. Like, it has to be pretty and readable, and that's why map making is such a challenge. Sorry for that rant here.
No, you're fine. A big problem with this map, though, is the east side of it has the... sorry, the west side has the advantage over the east side. Generally, if you spawn the east side, it's a 40% chance that you're going to win, so 60-40 odd. And that's just due to pure design of the map.
Is that because it looks like it's supposed to be more or less the same, symmetrical?
It is supposed to be, but it's not.
Yeah, so that's weird.
And so the big issue with that is in order for you to get that ammunition on the star, you need to take that cutoff point on their fuel and hold it. So you are completely overstretched the entire time to try and get the same amount of resources that these guys are passively getting. And their cutoff is much more closer to your side fuel if you're on the east side, right?
Yeah.
And it's easier for them to assault it because they also get this house right here. So it's just bad design in that way, which makes the west side so much easier to play over the east side.
Yeah, I wonder if they could just, like they did with Pacino, just kind of swap the orientation of some of the points to make the cutoff play a little bit more intuitive and a little less punishing. Like Pacino's stalemate, the way they've changed it with the extra muni points and the fuel and the cutoff, it's very symmetrical, but the one side of the map plays very differently from the other, which I kind of like.
Yeah, and they could do that with this, but they need to, I don't know, I think that cutoff point should go by the bottom fuel. It doesn't make sense that your cutoff is so much higher than your ammunition and it's so much closer to their stuff.
Yeah. So we see Sappers pushed off by Machine Gun Pioneer here. We've got Akkerman investing into a cache early on this fuel, mining it up and going for the Panzer Grenadier Company. Mishi has a nice balanced army composition for right now. He's got a mortar to deal with his MG42. He's got a couple of infantry sections. He's gone to air and sea, and he's getting his field infirmary. I mean, the medic tech, especially in the recent patch, definitely pays for itself in terms of just kind of the manpower reinforcement cost savings that you get.
On Wehrmacht?
On all of them, on all the armies.
Oh, I wasn't aware the Brits went out and collected casualties.
They don't. Oh, Kettenkrad goes down to a nice mine.
Yeah, Mishi's no slouch.
This is what drives me. Well, this is why I think the Kettenkrad's not used as much. It's just because, you know, a Pioneer hits a mine with a model damage cap, you're going to lose 2 models, but the squad isn't gone. The Kettenkrad hits a mine, and it's just kind of done.
Yep.
And then these choke points on the flanks, right? You've got the 2 passages on one side, 1 passage on the other. That creates for some really wonky kind of pathfinding and some really punishing routes and retreat paths. I think that's the reason that I typically don't play this map, is I feel like it's very easy to get kind of shoved into one side. Wow, and
now you're kind of seeing the issue with the west versus the east side.
Yeah.
On how easy it is for the west to capitalize over the east, especially since Akkerman's floating a lot of manpower, but he doesn't have a lot of units on the field.
Yeah, they're both floating some manpower. Oh, this MG42 could go down here. Both players have gone for the fuel cache.
We've had the 221 sitting in base for quite a while now. It would be good to bring it forward. I don't believe, Mishi has no snipers, so he could kind of dominate and get back into the game.
Yeah, the 221. So I feel like it's pretty critical to the DAC tier 2 meta, or not the DAC, Wehrmacht tier 2 meta. And I called out Panzer Grenadier Company for some reason. It's the Luftwaffe company. I'm dumb. I don't know why people listen to me. Oh, so there is a second path here over on the east side, and on the west. It's just not on the mini-map for whatever reason.
What are you talking to the ammo on the star?
Yeah, so just to the north of where this infantry section is, there's a second path, but it's not marked on the mini-map, which is unusual. Mishi, this is like unbelievable map control here. Yeah, and this, so for Akkerman to leave his base to the north side, I feel like he's got to like walk forever. Yeah,
and I mean, it strategically, like right now, it is in a sense, the smarter play because he has more operating room. But I would have gotten that 221 inside the city and got my cutoffs back, so I could push him back out.
Yeah, I feel like he took a couple of rough engagements early, hit a couple of mines. He's playing very defensive. And the 221, you really want to make use of it early. Otherwise, it's just not going to scale. I mean, it doesn't. It's a light armored car.
He's already actually converted it to the Panzerbücher, so he's worried about armor, which is smart. I mean, the Humber is coming out.
Yeah, and without the snares on the field, that Humber can do a lot of damage.
Personally, though, I would have rather have converted the Jaegers into AT Sharks and then kept the 221 as anti-infantry, because it is very, very good now as anti-infantry.
Yeah, and if you go Mechanized, which is definitely the meta for Wehrmacht, you can use it to capture points as well.
Absolutely.
And then it gets the, you can also go for the command upgrade that allows you the, kind of the fog of war hacks.
Yep, and combined with the Wesp, it's some very dangerous stuff.
Yeah. Alright, so the Humber finds the Pioneers and the MG42 here. And now the 221 with the Panzerbüchse. Ooh, big hit onto the Humber.
If he plays this right, it's dead.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Oh, there we go.
Pick up onto the Humber. Wow, well done. We're seeing a third squad of Jaegers. So, the Jaeger, I don't want to call it spam because it's not like he's blobbing them up, but leaning on Jaegers as your mainline infantry, I can't make up my mind on that. It can be really...
Against a Brit, it works. It really does. And maybe I'm just biased, but I think the Shrek upgrade's like the only way to go. Like the G43s is good, but it's more of a gimmick. If you actually compare their DPS, it doesn't increase it.
Yeah.
You're just getting buffed accuracy.
The commandos parachuted in onto a mine, and there's a second one there, so if they retreat in kind of the wrong angle... Nice dodge on the grenade from the Pioneers. The commandos... I mean, they're doing damage to the Pioneers, but that's not a whole lot of manpower bleed, and now they're going to Oh, fortunately they retreat the right way. Don't get torn up by that other mine.
His MG almost went down.
It's gonna run past the commandos who are also retreating. Was that just the mortar working on that MG?
Yeah. But no, I mean, what I was saying is you get Jaegers and you go Shreks on all of them. They're still like insanely good infantry fighting units. And then you got, you know, triple AT gun team walking around.
Yeah. What blows my mind is we've seen a number of mines go off. No minesweepers on the field despite 4 engineer units. So who will give in first and purchase a minesweeper? And then the commando support section going in on this deep munitions point. I like the use of the commandos to harass. And I think that the commando, like the standard commando section, will probably be an absolute menace in the city, in the center of CQC ranges. Yeah, I feel like the Jaegers with the Shrek, their 4 G43s still do plenty of damage to most infantry, and then the Shrek,
Absolutely.
it hits so hard and they so rarely miss with it. Wow, look at this harassment here on the southern munitions point. And Mishi just has so many infantry on the field. And the Brit infantry, especially with the infantry training, which he has, that extra, like, basically target size reduction that they get just makes them so durable up against everything but CQC weapons.
So the Jaegers, staying stocked and not getting the 2 scoped rifles, actually maintain a better close range DPS, but do fall off after 15 range, give or take.
Okay. And
so arguably,
I just want to point. Go ahead.
Go on.
I just wanted to point out there's an infantry section, as I was talking about their damage reduction, got knocked out on retreat by a couple of Jaegers.
Well, arguably, for 50 muni versus 90, you'll get more utility out of the Shrek.
Yeah. So Akkerman has gone mechanized. He's gone the raid package. He's got his 221 over here capping up the center. I like this approach. He's regaining a lot of that map control that he had ceded early, and with the infantry section picked up, now you're almost at infantry parity. You can't really... Pioneers and sappers don't really compare. But we do see a pioneer with a minesweeper, so well done to Akkerman.
I would disagree with the sapper.
What's that?
That they don't compare.
I think the pioneers are way better than the sappers. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. The sappers are way better than the pioneers. Yes. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Oh my god.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I would say it's late, but it's not. And yeah.
Oh, we're gonna get a pickup on the fuel cache.
Yeah, well, so Mishi destroyed Akkerman's, and now the 221.
Akkerman's gonna grab his.
Really interesting. This kind of gameplay you really only see in 1v1s, with both guys kind of all over the map attacking constantly. You just like now it'd be really cool if there was a 2v2 version of this map. I would play that.
Oh, I would love it.
Yeah, but you definitely wouldn't see how spread out both of these players are.
Yeah, agreed. It'd be a Artie Haven if it was.
Oh god. Especially because with all these like the weird obstructed paths, you couldn't chase the artillery either.
It would be Obiches and 105s and just smacking each other's base.
Oh, the 221 hit a mine. It's engine critted, but now it can just sit there and will start to repair itself. So yeah, Mechanized Battlegroup for the win here. Stas on the field now for Akkerman. And I wonder what Mishi's going to do here. I feel like Crusader, probably the answer, just with how mobile they are and how much infantry's on the field.
Absolutely.
Crusader's recently really, really strong. Even with the 2-pounder gun.
If his key is though to hold the city, Matilda would not be a bad choice. So I mean, that's probably what he's going. Oh, he canceled it actually.
Yeah, he canceled. He's
going to build
Crusader.
it again. No, with Crusader. Okay.
Yeah, he had a foot guard queued up as well. Wow, that's quick. In the time it took to cap, the 221 has completely healed itself. And
It's a great passive ability to try to help repair your other tanks as well.
yeah, I kind of wish it like only worked on other vehicles. So like the 221 could repair other stuff, and maybe if there was a half track nearby to repair the 221, but the self repair seems a little gimmicky. Although the Vickers K on these commandos actually penetrating the 221 and doing some damage. Good dodge on the Stas troop and grenade assault. Crusaders hit the field. And this infantry section, they did a decent job holding, just took a bunch of health damage here. And finally dropped a couple models. Now here's the Crusader. Not enough munitions for the Jaegers to tech Panzerschreck. So the Crusader doesn't really have anything to worry about in the middle, but he's still kind of playing it safe. Now the Crusader's going to help.
There's also 0 snares as well too.
Yeah. Now he could be worried about mines. He doesn't have any sweepers on his sappers.
Oh, there goes the Jaeger squad.
Jaeger squad hits a mine on retreat. That hurts. Panzerbooks are coming in to try to chase the Crusader. Thinks better of it and backs out.
So this is one of those moments, if Mishi was really thinking about it, that he could close out the game with a single Crusader, right? Akkerman has no snares, and the Panzerboost is not going to be enough to force it back.
Yeah, I wonder what Ackerman's thinking here. He's floating a ton of resources. He could very easily get a Stug D with Stas out. The Panther, he's still a couple minutes of fuel away. I like the way Mishi is playing with the commandos, using them on the flanks to kind of harass. And Mishi looks like he's going to play it a little safe. He's got a 6-pounder out, or yeah, out now. So he's worried about vehicles that really aren't there yet from Akkerman.
Exactly. We could see a Panther here though in a second.
What's the fuel cost for the Panther? Isn't it like 110?
It's 100.
It's just 100?
550 manpower.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, he can pop it out right now. Sauce trooping at range against commandos. Well, the Pioneer is able to decap that munitions point. The Crusader could chase and knock him out. Also got an infantry section screening for the keeping the Panzerbuksa off the Crusader. We still haven't seen grenade tech from Mishi, which is interesting.
Here comes the Panther.
Oh, he's building it. Yeah, I tend to, if I have the CPs, prefer the Panther call-in, just because I've seen a couple of games where the tier 4, like there's a base hive and the tier 4 gets knocked out, and then you don't have access to your Panther by going for the production. It arrives sooner too because you don't have to build it, and it costs the exact same.
That is true.
Oh, this Crusader under these Stas, and they don't care. They're just going to eat main gun rounds from the Crusader. There we go. Finally one of them knocked down, and then they're going to retreat. Jaegers, now all of the Jaegers have the G43 upgrade, so he's completely relying on the Panther for anti-vehicle. Man, this Crusader could just go ham.
Oh yeah.
And Mishi's floating a ton of resources and fuel. I mean, he could have 2 more of these out right now. They could just be driving around murdering things. Panther hits the field. Mishi's unlocking grants now. Sappers retreat.
Crusader's getting out of there.
Yeah, the Panzerbuksa pursuing as well. Oh, bounces a shot.
Bouncing.
Yeah. Yeah, Mishi can pretty much immediately get a grant on the field, which I really like the grant in this case. Obviously, it's going to do a little better against the Panther, but then also just chewing up all these infantry. You know, it's a little slower. Tier 4 hit, or officers' quarters going down, so that Panther will hit Vet 1 immediately. And the Panther's Vet 1, like, mark target ability is pretty nasty, especially when you start to combine them.
Oh, yes.
I'd say, like, the biggest thing I've taken away from doing these casts, especially the players at like the highest level of the game. At a certain point, I'd say probably about like 1400, 1500 elo, people understand the mechanics of the game really well. So it's a little bit of like situational awareness across the map. But the biggest thing that guys like you do is you use the battle group and unit veteran abilities just to like absolute perfection and in ways that create a better performance than you would otherwise reasonably expect.
And you really, you know, once you hit that certain level, you have to transition into that, and timing is obviously key with it. Because if you don't, you're at a disadvantage.
Yeah. Sauce Troop and pick up another infantry section.
So one thing I'd like to see from Mishi, especially the amount of resources he's floating, is throwing a 17 pounder up on his fuel point by the church. He does that, he can deny this entire section where the Panther and the Panzer are sitting currently.
Wouldn't well, there's no indirect on the field. I know there's the potential for a Vespa, but right now there's nothing to punish a 17 pounder.
But even then too, right? He's two buildings that he could sit it on that would protect it from a majority of indirect.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, and then the reach and the damage that it does.
Exactly. It would null his Panthers, and it would just give Mishi that.
What do you think about? He's going for armored vehicle training right now. What do you think about refitting that Crusader and getting a second Grant out right now?
Oh, I would absolutely, especially an unupgraded Crusader against the Panther.
Yeah, it seems like the front line is kind of stabilized here into the center of the map. The slight advantage. No, actually, it's pretty evenly split. I think it's slight advantage to Mishi. On victory points, Mishi's up 431 to 280. KD is exactly even. Stoss trooping advancing on the Crusader. It's crazy to me how much damage they can take before they drop a model.
Yeah.
I could have sworn he just saw that mine go in. Panther can't make up its mind on what it wants to shoot. Grant, oh, there go the Pioneers. Big pickup. Now, the smoke from the mortar, I think, actually hurts the Grant and the 6-pounder here. Not 100% sure what the thought process was.
It does with what he's trying to do. We do have a westbound on the field from Akkerman.
Grant took a hit and didn't shoot back. That's always my favorite. Jaeger's harassing the north side VP. They're going to cap it and then have a long retreat path with the Crusader able to chase. Commando is squaring off with Stoss Troop, and Red Phosphorus comes in, but they dodge. I wonder, he probably could have dodged towards the Stoss and eaten them up. At close range, the Commandos should definitely win that. Plus, the Commandos are your snare. They're the only unit from Mishi with a snare on the battlefield. Oh, grenade assault comes in. Nice, now he dodges in front of it. Oh, the Wespa's moved all the way up.
Wipe a Jaeger squad on retreat.
Yeah, so he did.
Of the map.
He did follow that in. Good pickup there from Mishi. He's still floating so many resources. All right, another Grant coming out. Oh, big hit from the Westball into the Commandos. So we had, well, it was a pretty even fight here, but a couple of things have gone Mishi's way, and so unit composition looking a little lean for Wehrmacht right now. Now, like, all the infantry on the field are elite. He's got the Panther, but if you're Akkerman, what's your next move here?
I'd be getting a second Panther up to try to force this out, followed by a second West. He has no snares unless he wants to backcheck. And I would try to close the game out, right? You have the mobility against the Grants if you get on their sides, and then the West track target, if you pair them together, is very powerful.
Yeah, I can see that. And then, so another 6-pounder out. I feel, and Mishi's teching the 17-pounder, so maybe he heard what you were saying. I feel like the 6-pounders won with all the sight blockers especially in the center here, and then the Vespa on the field, run the risk of them not being super efficient. Plus the Stahlstruppen, who can basically just walk up and clear a 6-pounder as well. Now Mishi's just irritated. Looks like he's just gonna knock down this church with his grants. The Stas, they get in it as they're knocking it down. Oh, bad idea. All right, they immediately get out. That was almost a huge accidental pickup for Mishi. You like to see these commandos approach on hold fire. Oh man, Vespa Barrage coming in on the 6-pounder. And that's the tracking
and that's what
barrage.
You were talking about,
oh
too.
My gosh, immediately knocked out. The commandos bleeding like crazy to the Stahlstruppen. But they're gonna get away. Oh, a couple big hits from the Grant onto the Stas.
He does have to be careful. And then they walk over the AT gun too.
Yep. Oh, that AT gun's done. They just burn it down. Decrewed. Yeah, there's nothing to counter this Panther on the field right now for Mishi. He's got these grants. I think he probably needs to upgun the Crusader at this point.
He does recall it.
Yeah, the grants have plenty of anti-infantry firepower. If you're going to keep the Crusader, I think you upgun it. See if you can get it on the flank of that Panther. Use it to harass some of the other vehicles. Maybe dive the Vespa. Yeah, the tier 2 officer's quarters gets the Vespa up to Vet 1, so he gets that tracking barrage.
Mishi goes for a 3rd engineer over the 17-pounder. And the 17-pounder, like I said, would give him the access he needs just to control mid.
Yeah, I wonder if he saw the Vespa and just got discouraged. Alright, Hawker strafing run coming in. It's just very slow. Good dodge there by Akkerman. I love the sound effect. It sounds like it's going to beat you up, but it just takes too long to arrive, I think. And given everything else you have to have on the field, like you have to deliberately tack for the support section. They have to get Vet 1. I feel like they could probably make that just a skosh more responsive.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that.
Alright, Panther's going to come in and try to force off the Grant. Oh, Mortar still, and the Grant working on that MG42, so that backs away.
Mishi gets aggressive. You could call him the Typhoon Loiter.
Yeah, he could, and then just dive for this. Tracking barrage comes in onto the anti-tank gun team. It's knocked out again. Oh, now we see Jaegers with Shreks. Oh, one good shot onto this Crusader, and it's done. Oh, the Sappers go to recrew that 6-pounder. They're still getting barraged by the Vespa. God, yeah, all Mishi needs to do here is dive and throw down that Hawker Loiter. Yeah, second Panther in the queue. Yeah, it's crazy. This is why map hacks. Yeah, that's why map hacks are so effective, right? Though, because we can see both sides, and you're like, oh yeah, if I just dive this dude, this is over. But you gotta wonder what he's thinking, what his concerns are. Like, what does he think is back there?
He's probably concerned of his second one coming out. But he does know what he has though at the same time and how close everything is.
Commandos use this smoke to close the distance here with the Stahlstruppen. They trigger their Vet 1 ability, and even at point blank range, they are just smoking the Commandos. I don't know how I feel about that, but it's fine. It's all fine. Allies OP anyway, so we don't need any commando buffs. It's just not lore accurate, which is my favorite term recently. Another Hawker run coming in. Oh, MG42 picked up even before the Hawk run shows up. I think you either need to knock out this. Oh, double Panther. Tracking barrage coming in on the 6-pounder.
This is his moment to call in that loiter. He needs to do it.
Oh, he needs it. And there he is.
There we go.
One Grant almost goes down. Yeah, the double Panther just hit so hard. some decent damage onto the Panthers, but the big thing with the Hawker Loiter is you need to have either a snare or an engine crit from a mine for it to be truly effective.
They might go down here. Oh, no.
Wow.
It missed.
As long as you keep the Panthers moving and they're not engine critted, they're usually okay.
So this is where Mishi really needs to, instead of backing up like he's doing, is get on that cutoff, build around it, and hold it.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the exact moment, especially on this map, because basically one entire side is denied to Akkerman with this loiter.
Correct.
So yeah, so push forward, but he's backed up all the way to his base.
Yeah.
I think, you know, he's just being too respectful of Akkerman here. It's a thing. Like Havoc talked about it in his commentary of his game with Faragi. He's like looking back at the replay. He's like, I was just too respectful. Like Faragi is an awesome player, but if you don't seize the opportunities that you get, you can't win.
Exactly.
And I say that like I could ever hold a candle to Faragi. I played him, I think, twice in 2v2s, and it has not been close.
Fergie is an amazing player.
Yeah, I've never seen someone like he's never out of position, but he's not hyper aggressive. He's very patient, but he also always controls all the VPs.
He's so calculated.
Yeah, it's so good. The Vespa with its gun up, I keep thinking it's about ready to start a barrage, but that I guess is just the way it drives around.
Lore accurate.
There we go. Oh,
now we got some spotting with the Ketten. This is a good move. I like this.
Yeah, this is super smart because now the Vespa is going to be able to just annihilate stuff. Oh no, the tracking barrage. Oh, there it goes. It might even knock out the AT gun here if he gets another round directly on target.
Oh, that's not a tracking barrage. That's just a standard barrage.
You think so?
She's still firing. She only shoots 3 shots on the tracking barrage.
You're right. Oh, Commando support's actually taking some damage. Hawker Loiter's coming in.
This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, the Panthers kind of sat there for a second. Oh, wow. That should have done more. And it's crazy how close the Ketten crowd was and still took no damage. Sauce Troop can get pinned. The Crusader's over here on the flank. I like this. I like this from the Crusader.
Look up east, right? Look at that Crusader.
Yeah.
If he brings it on that flank, that Vespa is his.
Yeah. Because what's the HP on the Vespa? Like 240? It's basically 2 shots.
Yeah. It'll clean it up. I think it'll be 2 or 3 shots.
Oh.
And he drives around the fuel point. Good move. Good move. He's trying to be sneaky.
You gotta be sneaky. Alright. Here comes another barrage.
Oh, no.
On another 6-pounder. Oh. Well, what's the cooldown on that barrage? That's insane.
I think it's like 30 seconds or something. Yeah, it's about 30.
Here's the Crusader, the dive onto the Vespa. I love it.
Yeah, he's doing it.
Shot. Oh, he's got some extra HP. Oh, and the smoke. Nice.
Yes.
Nice attack round. Great play. Great play.
And is he gonna make it? No, the Panthers got to clean this up, surely.
Oh.
Yeah. That's a worth trade in my opinion. That West was doing so much work.
Well, that's the only real use case for the Crusader.
We get another one out right away.
Oh wow. 17-pounder hits the field, or in queue. Sorry. And oh man, he's just got all this sight. Those sappers.
No.
Oh.
And it takes a chunk out of the grid.
And we've got the
And Akkerman sees this as, oh, he's being a little passive. This is his opportunity to push in before everything gets set up.
I love this play with the Kettenkrad. This is brilliant. With the focus sight. Mishi cancels a 17-pounder, goes for another Crusader. I think he's going to try the same thing to dive the Vespa again. Oh, the grants, 2 grants are not an answer to 2 Panthers. Okay, here comes in the Hawker Loiter, but it's kind of coming in perpendicular, which means it's going to miss most of its shots. Man, if it came head on, like, please make it more of a skill shot where you can kind of direct the direction of the strafe. Oh man, think about if you could call in the actual strafe. And then
That would be great.
and then it would actually be a skill shot. It would affect the player. Oh god, I complain about the skill planes constantly, and I don't know who said it, but like I think the devs are happy with where the loiters are because you haven't seen any changes to them, despite players asking for since the inception of the game.
The Axis loiters are much better though.
They are.
But those things heat seek onto you, and the Hawkers. I mean, I get it's a rocket, and they're trying to put some logic into it, but they don't adjust from their initial attack path.
Yeah. Oh, this Vet 3 Saw Super just gonna eat these commandos.
Yeah, they gotta get out of there.
The Vespa continues to harass these team weapons. Mishi's got the cap for another grant. I wonder what he's thinking. He's got the Crusader out. Look at this Crusader on the long flank looking for the Vespa. You'd love to see it. Mishi's holding the center VP. Here's the Crusader. Is he gonna get another Vespa? Yeah, so it must be 280 health. Oh, it pops the smoke again. Jaeger's with the Shrek's nice attack round. Alright, Vespa gets knocked out. And then another one immediately hits the field. The other thing, Akkerman has the zeroing artillery barrage, so if he catches some of these weapons on the VP in the right spot. Wow, the Crusader got out completely. Grant's knock out a Pioneer squad. Stas advance.
And here comes the zero.
Yep.
Ackerman's gonna seize this opportunity to push in, and it's what he needs to do if he's gonna have a chance at taking this game on.
AT got knocked out. Commandos. Oh my gosh.
He's just storming through.
Oh, the screen shake. I'm sorry, everyone watching. Both Grants knocked out by the Panthers and the Jaeger Shreks. Oh my goodness.
The Crusader is hiding in the corner of the map. It's scared.
Another Grant on the way.
Now the 17-pounder.
Yep. Ackerman's gonna pick up the middle VP here. Oh, now the Vespa, the base hits and knocks out that commando support section. More rounds coming in right onto these sappers. Man,
and there goes the med tent. That's a huge blow right there. That's extra manpower and fuel that Mishi does not need to spend.
That is huge. Well, so one of the Stas went down at some point, and I missed it. But now Akkerman owns the middle here. 17-pounder is on the field. Vespa shooting at the commandos. They use some smoke.
Here comes the Crusader to try to save the day.
Crusader's done. One more shot. It's so fast,
and
though.
It gets out.
17-pounder on the ground. Commandos hold the center VP. 17-pounder flips around. Nice hit onto the Panther. Both Panthers go. Vet 3. Oh, the Vespa. Commando is down to a sliver of health.
Did they get away? They got away.
They're gonna get away. This is wild. This mortar is not, though. This mortar is gonna... Well... There's no point even retreating. The Stas just gonna... Well, and then that whole burst does no damage. What is happening?
What? That was weird.
Yeah, like a full burst of point blank. no damage.
That was actually 3 when they were walking up to it. That was weird. Maybe
it was the weird thing where it was like targeting the MG model or the mortar model rather than the actual squad members.
Yes, let's kill the mortar, not the squad.
Yeah. Oh, already the Vespa coming in on the 17-pounder.
Uh-oh.
Oof. And the truck knocked out.
And there's the surrender.
Yeah. Wow, that happened quick. All right, so we're going to kick this off with a review of the Axis build order. So Akkerman, obviously playing Wehrmacht, goes Pioneers, Infantry Company, Kettenkrad, which he uses well early and then late game. MG42, a second Pioneer, so a lot of utility early. I think the capping is really helpful in this map with the way it's kind of spread out and the random choke points. From there, he goes heavy into tier 2. You're going to see 3 squads of Jaegers and a 221 scout car, as well as the investment into the tier 2 officers' quarters. From here, he selects a mechanized battle group, and this is going to kind of determine how he plays going forward. Gets his med station up. He does the base tech healing. This is usually good if you have an advantage on fuel, or maybe you need the munitions. In this case, with 3 Jaegers on the field, they are pretty decent munition sinks. So understand why he goes for the med station versus the medical bunker there. Then he gets his tier 4 out, goes for 2 Stas Truppen. This is a little bit redundant. I think he ends up at the right solution because he gets the 2 Stas to manage his anti-infantry, and then he has his Jaegers, especially in the late game, equipped with Shreks. But early, he gets the Jaegers, the recon package upgrade. I think he would have been better off equipping them to deal with vehicles. Maybe he would have been able to win just a little bit sooner. From here, he's going to go Panthers. Gets the tier 4 officers' quarters out. So I think it's the tier 2 officers' quarters that gives the Vespa the Vet 1. But for the Panther, that Veteran C is really huge because of its Vet 1 passive. Gets a replacement squad of Jaegers out. Gets a second Panther. And then what I really like at the end of the game, obviously he's replacing the Vespas. He gets the Kettenkrad for the vision, the spot for the Vespa, whether or not he uses the tracking barrages. Still super powerful, allows him to get after those team weapons and use his Panthers at their max range. It's especially important because he went for the light vehicle repairs in the battle group as opposed to the spotting scopes. So that spotting really helps his Panthers be able to use at the maximum extent of their capabilities. For the battle group choices, like I said, on the right side, chooses the light vehicle repairs, obviously goes Vespa, and goes for the zeroing artillery. I kind of think he does use it well. I kind of like mechanized assault here. The healing on your vehicles, really helpful, especially late game if you don't have lots of pioneers running around, plus the buffs to your infantry. On the left side, he gets the raid package for the light vehicles, Stug D with the Stas Troop and Calling, which I don't think he uses, and then the Panther production. Now, all things being equal, I like the Panther call-in versus the production. They cost the same. The difference is weighting in terms of CPs. The advantage, though, is if the enemy kind of storms your base, you don't have to worry about losing your Panzer company. You can still call in those Panthers. So good choices here. All right, and now taking a look at Mishi's build with the Brits. So starts with 2 sappers. I think this makes sense on this map, especially with all the urban terrain in the middle. Maybe in the current meta with how strong they are, maybe you go for a 3rd sapper, who knows. Section command post into an infantry section, chooses his Air and Sea battle group, gets a 2nd section and gets a mortar out. The mortar is a really good choice. He uses it fantastically throughout the match. He's just constantly harassing, does a lot of damage. The infantry section's not so much. He ends up losing both of them in the mid game, and they just don't hold up as well, especially against not just the Jaegers, but once the Stas Troop hit the field. They get kind of spread out and isolated a little bit. I wonder, he did have the infantry training, so that's not really it. I think either he needed more infantry or just to invest more into the commandos. He gets the field infirmary up, which is a smart choice. Platoon command post, Humber armored car. Unfortunately, gets knocked out almost immediately by the 221. So that really just kind of sets him back in terms of tech. From here, he goes into commandos, also gets a support section out. Uses them fairly well in terms of harassment. The problem, though, is that Akkerman is kind of ready for it, ready for the harassment lanes. And then the commandos just don't scale well against the Stas Trooper in the late game. We saw that engagement where the commanders are just standing on them and still losing to the veteran Stas Trooper. So something to keep in mind going forward, either doubling up the commandos, using them with the hold fire in the city, get those close range engagements, combining with the mortar, whatever it might be. But really tough to get them to win infantry engagements, and I don't think the sections would have fared any better. So I really don't have answers for him there in the anti-infantry fight. Company command post, gets a Crusader 2 out, realizes he needs a little bit more anti-vehicle, so he goes for the 6-pounder. Then he unlocks the Grants. And I really like his composition here. He's running basically 2 Grants with a Crusader for flanking. The Grants are really nice, obviously with the 2 guns each. They do a lot of damage to infantry, and then they can still challenge vehicles. If you don't want to go the Grant route, maybe a Matilda to kind of hold the city and be your sponge, and then Grants from the Crusaders for mobility. Either way, though, you need something that can reliably penetrate the Panther. And so the Crusaders with the ability to flank, really, really valuable. Obviously, you saw how well he used them against the Vespas there. Another AT gun, and unfortunately, even with the 17 pounder at the end, kind of playing into Akkerman's hands there with the Vespa, really, really hard to deal with. You need some sort of mobile AT, and that's something that the British as a faction just kind of lack. Right? You either need the Crusaders upgun to the Crusader 3, you still need to get flank shots onto the Panther. The Grants fare a little better, but once 2 Panthers hit the field with their mark target ability, it really, really starts to wear you down. For battle group choices, on the right-hand side goes Commandos, Support Section, and then the Hawk or Loiter. I think it's the most balanced of the Loiters, but that honestly just means it's the least effective. And we'll talk about a little bit later how he uses the Loiter versus how Akkerman uses his abilities. And then on the left side, you get the access to the upgraded caches, which are really helpful on this map. Both players choose to lock down their plus 10 fuel at one point, and then the Centaur, which doesn't really see use. The naval bombardment could have been useful. The problem was that Akkerman wasn't really playing with team weapons, wasn't very static. So maybe you get one alpha strike with it, and then after that, a good player is going to be able to dodge it. So with all that, get back to Ares and let him kind of walk us through this one. All right, so I'm back here with Ares. All right, what's your biggest takeaway from that?
I'm surprised Akkerman won. I genuinely am, and I think that his feel point with the cache was a saving grace because he had no map control because he was so passive. I mean, we were, and it was what, 15 minutes into the game, and there was like 5 kills and 6 kills for each player.
Yeah.
Stuff was not really happening. And Mishi he took the entire map, and it was apparent in the late game he was floating so many resources.
Yeah.
So I'm honestly surprised that Akkerman brought that back.
Yeah, I have seen. I feel like Panthers are really like boom or bust because it's mainly when I use Panthers, they are worthless and get flanked by Hellcats and die. When I see good players use Panthers, they are an absolute force. And then combined with the Vespa play was great. The tracking barrage continues to be something that I'm like, I don't know if I like it or not. Just the fact that it follows units around and there's no like indicator or obvious counterplay because you can't see, like he doesn't know that there's a Kettenkrad back there spotting. Yeah. And the way it just deletes the team weapons.
Although I don't really know, I mean, I was trying to pay attention, but I don't think he used a tracking barrage at all. Okay. The Wesp is so, like you had called it out on the AT gun, and that was just the normal barrage. The Wesp is just an extremely accurate artillery piece.
Yeah. That's fair. I think if I had to kind of put my finger on anything, I think Akkerman knew in the late game what he needed to do to win. Right? Because you saw it every time the Vespa got flanked by the Crusader and knocked out, he just immediately built another one. And then he got the Jaegers out with Shreks to try to protect it. He had the 2 Panthers, he had the Stas and the Jaegers. Like he had a clear picture in his mind of how he was going to win that. He was going to battle for the center, he was going to knock out team weapons with the artillery, and he was going to push with his infantry until Mishi couldn't win anymore. Mishi, I felt like struggled a little bit with the like trying to solve the problem from a composition perspective, right? The Commandos were not winning against the Stas. The infantry sections, brand new infantry sections, would just bleed against them. The Grants were fine against the infantry, but once the Panthers got on the field and they had their veterancy, the Grants started to suffer. The Crusader was really only good for flanking the Vespa, and then the 17 pounder, he finally gets one out there, and the Vespa just annihilates it. And so I don't know, I have a feeling what you're going to say here, but like, what do you do differently as Mishi to win this one?
I would have seized on those opportunities that I had mentioned throughout the cast on like this is your do or die kind of moment. He had several really, really good opportunities to base lock him and shove him in there. Mm-hmm. And if not just, win the game entirely, and he didn't take it. And, counter argument is yes, we can see the entire map casting. But at the same time, from a player's perspective, right, you can see what you've been fighting. You know what you've been fighting. You know what he has. You know what you're pushing back. And you know what you ultimately have. And it's kind of those key moments, and I've talked to you about them in the past. Like this is your do or die moment, and you need to seize that. Had he done that, I think Mishi had like 3 opportunities to win the game.
Yeah.
I mean, like basic annihilation the game.
Yeah.
And he didn't take them. And I think the biggest flaw was when he called in the first loader, he retreated back to his base, like completely retreated back. So it was like a clean reset on both sides. And as you said, maybe he was being too respectful. But that's kind of one of those moments. Like you can be a passive aggressive player, but you have to know when the aggression needs to take place to win. And Akkerman saw his opportunity when he called in his zeroing artillery, and that was really, really well done on him, and he pushed forward and held it. So
yeah. No, I think you hit the nail on the head. Right? Do you win this as Mishi by being more aggressive earlier on and not letting Akkerman hit that like critical mass of late game units? Using the loiter, I think so. A good kind of juxtaposition. So you had the zeroing artillery kind of on your flank to punish your team weapons, punish your retreat pass to allow your Panthers to drive forward and take that center VP, versus the use of the Hawker loiter, which is a like, hey, get off me kind of defensive employment that then gives him a break to repair his grants, but he doesn't use to go on the offensive. And so I think that kind of reflected the different play styles and probably ultimately resulted in Mishi losing this one, despite playing an outstanding game all the way until that point.
No, I agree, but it was a good game by both players.
Yeah, other stuff. I mean, they're obviously high level players. The micro was great. They were across the map, kind of all at the same time, right? It wasn't like you'd seeing units be inactive, with the exception of the 2-2-1 for like 15 seconds. But you saw constant capping, counter capping, harassment, good combined arms, good micro, good ability use across the board. So yeah, just kind of a really interesting game. And this isn't a map that gets casted a lot. Like I said, I veto it. I know you do too. And I don't know that the map really played into this one as much, other than the fight being over that center VP and there being kind of limited lanes there. But you didn't see kind of the normal frustrations with this map that is the weird choke points and crossing routes. So I thought it played out. You have anything else you want to highlight?
No, I think that's it. I think they both played a good game. It was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So thanks for joining me. That's going to do it for us here, guys, and we'll see y'all in the next one.
Have a good one.